guys just saw was me getting the car back together. I put the transmission back in the car, buttoned things up, things like axles, suspension, and stuff like that. I also installed a steel braided clutch line. The factory clutch line going from the master cylinder to the slave cylinder on the transmission was for a D series, and it didn't really line up right. It wouldn't fit anywhere, and it was just kind of awkward. I also went ahead and did another spring swap. I went from 12 front, 10 rear to 14 front, 12 rear, just a little bump in stiffness there. And I also went on a test drive, and the test drive did not go well. Essentially, I did have the GoPro in the car, but in classic GoPro fashion, it didn't record most of it, at least not the sound. Yeah, I'm really tired of GoPros. They're always failing me. It's been 2 or 3 times at track days where it doesn't record my fastest lap. I want to find something else to replace it. I might actually mount my actual camera that I'm recording with in here next time. We'll see how that goes. But anyway, I did the test drive to see if the transmission works, and unfortunately, it was grinding in fourth, or so I thought. So I was driving the car just in a little residential area around here. I wanted to be able to pull over easily in case something went wrong, which it did. And I was, driving the car pretty slowly. I go to first gear and it felt fine. Second gear felt fine. Third gear felt perfect. And then I go to fourth gear and it was grinding, just like it did initially when I got the swap done. In that moment, it was pretty heartbreaking. I was already thinking about having to pull the transmission back out, take it back apart, see what was wrong, but it really didn't make any sense to me. I had the transmission taken apart and I looked over it in detail and nothing seemed wrong except for the case. And after I assembled the transmission, I was able to shift through every gear just fine on the table. And now in person, it's not going into fourth gear, it's just grinding like crazy. So there was one thing I wanted to try, and that was with the car idling and the car stopped, I wanted to put it in fourth gear and then slowly release the clutch and see if I can hear some kind of weird noise, right? And if there is a crazy sound coming from the transmission, then that's the smoking gun. There is actually something wrong with the transmission. So I did that. I put it in fourth. I went ahead and released the clutch very slowly, and the funniest thing happened. The car went backwards. And in that moment, everything just clicked. I was like, hold on, before I jump to any conclusions, first, second, third, fourth, let the clutch out slowly, and the car went backwards again. What this means is this entire time, I thought that fourth gear was messed up or something in the transmission was damaged, and it turns out that I was just trying to shift it into reverse. Now, I know that sounds kind of dumb. How can you mistake fourth for reverse? But literally, like, if you go to naturally shift this transmission, first, second, third, fourth, that is not fourth gear. That is reverse gear. And fourth gear is somewhere in between second and reverse. It's a little too close together, actually. Like, if I can find fourth gear, it's only like a 1/4 inch difference between second and fourth. And even if I were to train myself to drive the car this way, it's a little dangerous. Say I'm at Big Willow on the main straight and I'm going, 100+ miles an hour in third gear, and then I go to shift into fourth and I accidentally money shifted into second gear. That'll be a bad day. Like I said, after that moment, everything just started clicking. And there is one thing that you guys don't know about, mainly because I didn't have time to record this when I did the swap. Factory Hondas have 2 shift linkages. They're like 2 rods underneath the car. One is attached to the shifter and it shifts, right? It's like a gear selector. Essentially, it's what actually goes through the gears. And then there's another rod, which is kind of like a stabilizer rod. It is pinned to the floor of the car at the shifter, and then it is at a pivot point at the transmission. That's kind of how it works from factory. It's basically called a stabilizer bar, if I'm not mistaken. And in this setup, that stabilizer bar is actually deleted. There is a thick aluminum plate that gets bolted to the floor, and then the shifter gets hard mounted onto that plate. Therefore, the shifter is now chassis mounted. And what that does is it makes for a much more precise feeling, notchy, kind of more racy feel, right? Lewis did that on his EG. I drove that car and it felt great, and I wanted to do it to this one. And at this point, that is the only variable, because ever since I did the swap, I did this when I did the swap. And ever since I did the swap, swap, the car never felt right. It never felt like it shifted correctly. You know, I did this whole transmission fiasco, which I don't regret at all. I mean, I got to do some upgrades. That LSD is a huge benefit in a car like this that gets driven on track a lot. The final drive as well. But like I said, that is the only variable at this point. It's that plate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to essentially downgrade the car sort of back to stock. I'm going to eliminate that plate and I'm going to install the factory shift stabilizer bar back in. I got some new bushings and hardware because I was missing all of that. All of that came in, so I'm gonna get under the car, I'm gonna install that and see if I can easily distinguish first, second, third, fourth, fifth, reverse. Because right now, like I said, it's nowhere near how it's supposed to be. Like first, second, third, that's reverse. It can't be that way, so I'm not going to be able to record any of it because the camera doesn't fit under the car. It's kind of like on a tripod thing, it just won't fit. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and install that stuff. It'll probably be a little too late today to drive the car again, but I'll at least sit in here and see how it feels. And if it feels any different, if it feels a little bit more promising, then either probably tomorrow I'll get in here and I'll drive the car again and hopefully that fixes it. I really hope so. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and jack the car up and get that installed. Before I get too far putting this back together, I'm gonna put the shifter on and just kind of snug it up and then go through the gears and see if it feels any different. Okay, let's see. First, second, third, fourth, fifth. Fourth, reverse, fourth, second. I definitely have all the gears and they're a little bit more apart. This hybrid shifter is adjustable here. Let me see if messing with this will help kind of like separate those two somehow. This is like a throw adjustment. So this is probably the longest throw setting. This moves the pivot point of the shifter. It's a pretty nice design. So I went from shortest to longest. Let's see what that does. Second, third. So reverse is definitely like not in an intuitive spot. I definitely don't like the longer throws. First, second, third. I feel like it's still too easy to mistake the two. Like reverse is supposed to be out here, but it's not. It's right there. I think what's gonna have to happen is I'm going to have to put it together, drive the car, and just literally get used to it at this point. There's nothing else I can do. That's reverse, that's fourth, that's second, fourth, reverse. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and put all this back together, and it is a little too late for me to take the car out today. So I'll go ahead and put it back together, and then I'll try to take this thing out for a drive in the morning. Okay, so I'm warming the car up right now. Don't mind the gauges, they're not connected yet, but I've got the stock one here. I'm gonna warm the car up a little bit and then take the car out again. Now we have the OEM style shift linkage in place. I currently have my main camera mounted on the harness bar instead of the GoPro. It's not the best style of mount. I'll probably come up with something better, but this should be enough. I'm not doing anything crazy in the car. I'm just, you know, taking it around the block a couple times, but this should be a lot better than the GoPro. So yeah, I am going to take the car out and see if I can get it into fourth gear this time. Now that I know what the issue is, then I know what to look for. And like I said before, the tune in this car, the base map is kind of bad. I really need to get the car tuned, but before I get it tuned, I need to get the exhaust done. That's gonna be in a future video. So for now, I just kind of have to work with what I got. I just have to be super careful getting out to the street because this car is just really, really easy to stall. See? I might be blaming the base map, but it could also be the lightweight flywheel that I'm not used to. But I've driven cars with lightweight flywheels and it's never been a problem. Who knows? Let's start somewhere neutral. Okay. This is first gear. First. Second. Third. I might not be able to get it into fourth. I need to go a little faster. A lot of stuff in the car moving around right now. Second, third. I just want to get it into fourth once just to make sure it works. That's second. That's reverse. That's second. That's second. It keeps going into second. And I ran out of road. That's so strange. It's like second and then that's second though. Do I not have fourth at all? Second. Third. Is this fourth? It feels like the exact same gear. Yeah, I'm very confused. First, second, third work fine. And then no matter where I try to get fourth, it's reverse. It's like fourth gear is non-existent at this point. I thought that I had fourth and then second, but they're both second. They're not any different. So I don't have, that's reverse. I don't have any fourth gear. I might actually have to take the transmission back out after all. There's something called a shift change selector. I'm not sure what I called it in my transmission build video, but it looks like this. Right? That's what dictates the input from the shift linkage and translates it to the shift forks. That is my only theory now, because I got first, I got second, I got third, and then fourth is just reverse. I think I got fifth gear too. I tried it earlier and it did go into fifth. Yeah, it's looking like I literally don't have fourth gear. I don't understand. It's first, second, third, reverse. What is going on? I don't understand what's going on here. I really don't. I'm at a loss at this point. I'm gonna try it one last time, and if it doesn't work, then I'll take the car back, and I guess I'll just start asking people. I'll go on forums, I'll comment on YouTube videos, I'll do whatever I can to try to get some answers here, because if I can avoid taking the transmission out, obviously I want to do that. Maybe one of you guys might know the answer here. So anyway, I'm gonna try it one last time. If it doesn't work, I'll take it back to the house and I'll close this video off. But let's try it one more time. Second gear, third gear, that's second. That's still second. Still second. That's reverse. Yeah, I don't know. I'm taking the car back to the house. All right, so as you guys just saw, I took the car out for a drive and it wasn't successful. I got the car into first, second, third just fine, just like the first test drive. But fourth gear it wasn't there. Just like I described before, where fourth gear should be, it is actually reversed. The two positions that I thought were second and fourth, the ones that I said were really close together physically, they're just both second gear. I can switch between what I thought were two different positions, but I guess they're not. They're both second gear. So I don't know where fourth gear is. I don't understand what's going on. If it's that shift change selector mechanism that's in the transmission, then that means I do have to pull the transmission out. It's not the end of the world. I can do that. That's fine. They're just very expensive, very hard to find nowadays. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna pause on this. I'm gonna go on the computer and just go on forums, ask questions, comment on other YouTubers' videos, and see if I can get some answers, because right now I'm at a loss. If any of you might know what's going on with this transmission, feel free to comment down below. I would really appreciate any help that I can get at this point, because I am completely stumped. I can't figure this out at this point. I really need fourth gear for those bigger tracks. At this rate, the car is just useless, you know, without that fourth gear. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and end the video here, guys. I really appreciate you watching. I wish it was a more successful video, but I'm just gonna keep on trying until I figure this out. So for now, thanks for watching, guys. Please like and subscribe, and remember, function, momentum, grip.